Hello, it is another Tuesday, which of course means it's time for another in real life video. And sort of continuing our trend, echoing like a reverse version of what we did last month, where we did a whole slew of just ranking videos. We're taking some questions this month. And we got 2 more weeks of this, if you're very much hankering for some stupid rankings. But nonetheless, this week, we're taking a general viewer submit question, and you too can submit a question or a request for a ranking by just typing it out in the comments below of this video, and it helps a whole bunch if you include a question mark, because that registers it as your comment having a question. And there's this handy-dandy sorting situation on YouTube now, which I can use and add it to our list of questions and ranking requests. Regardless, this week's comes in from a general viewer whose username should be somewhere in the lower third of your screen right about now. And they write in asking, let me check here, bring this up. You have been using a camera for your videos for a long time. Tell us, do you notice any advantages or disadvantages of this form of use compared to the non-camera one? This is sort of a very good question, but sort of a more inside baseball one, one which is a bit of a companion question, I guess, to sort of when we were first getting started doing facecam. I don't remember, was it even in an IRL video? But either way, I sort of explained my impetus, or at least one of my big reasons for initially going on and doing facecam in all of the videos, which we have it now on everything except for Morrowind Mondays, which when we roll around to Morrowind Mondays Volume 3, rest assured, as I've said in Morrowind Mondays, we'll be getting a facecam there too. But one of the big reasons why we started doing it was because of the sort of proliferation of AI. And I felt like this was just another level, although, AI could attempt to mimic it. But it's just another level to sort of attempt to, provide the human connection, right? Provide some degree of, authenticity to the viewer, stuff like that. I think also side benefits have been, and this sort of dovetails nicely into the question, one of the advantages has been that, now there's also this additional component which is ripe for humor. If I want to make a joke, I don't always need to say it completely aloud. I can just say wow or something like that, or just nothing at all, and just do kind of a face during something. And I feel like sometimes that gets the point across. Though I do still tend to be very verbose, and maybe that stems from having originally started doing videos and all of that without the face cam, is learning to sort of, I don't know, vocalize as much as possible, right, to avoid dead air. But that's another advantage, is that I feel like it's fine to have a little moment of dead air now, being as I am appearing on camera and you can see me. And you can sometimes see the reflection of the game in my glasses, or on my face if some flashbang goes off in Fallout or whatever, and you'll see my face light up in white as I'm playing in a more dimly lit room, which also lends itself to or works again really nicely into one of the disadvantages of this. Is I don't mind so much, especially at this point, I don't mind so much appearing on camera, but there is the component of the lighting, right? If it used to be, I would just always play in a fairly modestly lit room, right? Easier on the eyes and all of that. I don't really get too much eye strain. But in the event that I feel like a headache coming on, or I'm a little fatigued or whatever, it's a rarity for me. But I do notice that if I have a headache, it used to be, if it was just very mild, I'd just, I'd take something for it, and I would just go on and record. It's fine, you know? But with the camera now pointed at me, I mean, obviously you can't see like the internal workings of my body, right? Ideally, you wouldn't be able to look at me and be like, wow, that guy is really suffering, right? Ideally, you wouldn't be able to tell this. But if I have lighting active, in particular, like a key light, right, for that sort of like ideal sort of studio lighting where it's kind of like either directly in front of you or slightly askew, pointed down a little bit. One of the things that I've always heard people say, and I sort of echo it in the same sense, is that hilariously, a lot of your best lighting and even acoustics tend to be in your bathroom, right? At least for hearing yourself, maybe not so much picking up on a microphone, but, you know, you sing in the shower and all that sometimes, or at least you hum in the shower. Like, oh, it sounds pretty good. I can hear myself decently enough bouncing off the walls, and it sounds similar to how I sound in my own head, right? Same goes for, like, oftentimes some of the best lighting in a house is going to be over a big bathroom mirror because, you know, you want to get ready for the day or whatever. There's going to be pretty decent lighting in there. Thus, that was legitimately one of the things that I tried to mimic for my, like, recording camera. I'm able to less so achieve it here in just regular IRL videos because I think it looks weird to have everything dimmed when I'm just recording one of these, when it's just me talking into the camera. But when I'm doing face cam and all of that, I feel like it works way better to have the background dimmed and then have a light lighting me up, and in particular, like my face and all of that. So I dim everything else or turn it all off in the rest of the room, and I just have like my key light on, my studio light, which is like blasting into my face and my eyeballs a little bit, right? Actually, sort of a byproduct of it all is that the hat in some way shields me from a little bit of it. Wearing a hat, although I do it more for the sake of pulling off a fit, if you will, it does actually help a little bit with like not blinding me if I need to have the key light on firing down upon me, right? There may be better tactics or a better way to go about it, and I'm just an idiot, right? I think there's always going to be opportunity for like learning and improving. But that's another advantage, I guess. We sort of touched on it. I'm sort of I'm the rare type of guy who's somewhat into clothes, right? I don't know if you knew this about me, but I am actually into clothes. This is just another excuse. I've noticed that since I've started doing face cam, I post a lot less on Instagram because I just have no need for it, right? I probably should do more. Because I do enjoy it, and you don't get to see like from here roughly lower, right? So if I've got like really good or really bad pants or shoes, you don't really get to see it, right? If I'm wearing my stupid duck boots, my bean boots, right, when it's wet out, you don't really get that. Obviously, I'm not gonna wear it here when I'm recording. I got my socks on and all of that, right? Come on, wearing your shoes inside the house? What are you doing? But regardless, it's another excuse for me to like put some clothes on and stuff, which I like to do. Otherwise, it's just me. Usually, like I said, wearing socks. But before I did face cam, it was just me wearing like an OCBD and a pair of chinos, you know, with my belt and my watch on, you know, and if it's hot, I roll up my sleeves, which I still kind of do that during the summer and all of that, but I don't know. I like the added component of it. It's fun for me personally, right? And it's not to say that like I have this enormous wardrobe or whatever, wherein I've got like shitloads of different stuff. Like if you watch this channel for long enough, you'll see like I have different like shirts or jackets and stuff that I repeat. I'm very much the type who like, you know, invest in something that you really like, you know, whether that be like a time investment, like you're searching on secondhand sites or in person, or you invest like money, right? You buy it new, and it's a point of like, okay, I'm going to get something actually good that's going to last a long time. I don't know. Maybe it's a little naive of me, but I like to think that, like, you know, I've worn this pink shirt a lot. I've worn, although this is one of my lesser worn navy jackets, I think it goes good with a pink, right? Especially with the little whale on top. You know, I like the idea of sort of like continuing that thought process and broadcasting it out into the world and being like, yeah, it's fine to repeat outfits and have like almost your own sort of like uniform within your own personal. So anyway, we're getting way off track. We're getting beyond. Like I said, I'm into this stuff. We're getting beyond just talking about using facecam, right? But that's one of them. That's make no mistake. That's one of the key points. Is I like to wear some clothes. You know, I like to coordinate. I like to wear a little tie here and there. Otherwise, I was just wearing it like if I go out to the store or something and the mood strikes me, or I'm going to some sort of party or get together or whatever, then I'll do it. But this, I like it. I like it. I get to do it during my day to day. You know, it's one of the few jobs where you can kind of just like wear whatever the fuck you want, as long as it feels, I don't know, true to yourself in some ways. Anyway, another one is sort of tangentially related to like investing money, right? Would be the equipment, right? I've already made like some equipment upgrades that are purely for the sake of the camera, right? Like I believe on the about page of the YouTube channel, which frankly these days is a little bit tough to get to, right? Thanks to how YouTube's design has gone. I think it's more so like a details expanded text at the top rather than about page. Either way, I got a bit of a better webcam. Of course, like I said, I got the lighting. You know, I'm trying to be mindful of that. And I'm also trying to think about like positioning of stuff. You know, something to be cognizant of, as well as like in the video game. It's a bit of a concern. Like, where should I put my camera? Oftentimes, I'll just copy someone else's homework, right? I'll just look like, oh, there's a slew of people who I enjoy. You know, I'm on the record having said this. There's a slew of people who I enjoy who play games and talk about games and all of that. I'm very big into podcasts, but those people also, like, you know, they do little, not necessarily playthroughs per se, but they'll do like little quick looks and stuff. And I'll try and get an idea of like, okay, where are you putting your camera, right? If we're doing the same game, it's like, all right, give me some inspiration here. What are some good ideas on how to do this, right? Something else of concern is stuff that bothers me a little bit is like still having the mic a little close. Right, I do kind of like the sound it produces from that, because if you're familiar with this type of mic, it is one of those ones that you greatly benefit from having just like right up on you, right? It's the podcaster like go-to type of mic, right? And it served me very well. Speaking of good investments and all of that, but there's no denying it covers like a little bit of me, and depending, like, you know, if I'm playing a game for like 2 hours recording myself, I notice that like as it goes on, I kind of start to slouch a little bit, right? I get a little unaware of the camera and all of that, even if I do occasionally like look up into it, and sometimes I remind myself like, oh, make sure you're still properly aligned with the camera, because sometimes, you know, if whatever happens in the game, sometimes I like either fidget or I get scared, something like that, and then my chair kind of rolls over, right? I kind of get slightly out of frame. It's a bit of a concern, it's a bit of an annoyance, but I think that's part of the charm and part of like the territory and what makes it so earnest, right? When I mentioned trying to do this initially to sort of combat anything that be unsavory from like AI generated nonsense, you know, sort of the imperfections on occasion sort of contributes to, like I said, the feeling of authenticity, you know? What else is there? There's simple stuff like nowadays I pretty much always take a shower in the morning, right? It's not even, it's a non-question. You know, it's like one of the age-old debates is like, well, should you do I want to take a shower in the morning when I first get up, or do I want to do one before I go to bed? Right? And you know, there's some situations, some circumstances where it's like an obvious answer, like, oh, my job has me getting filthy, right? I'm covered in sweat or some sort of dirt or whatever. Thus, obviously, I'm going to shower closer to bedtime because I just got home. That's why I'm going to go hit the shower and all that. In my case, I want to kind of like look a little freshened up for camera, you know? So I almost always take a shower before I record and all of that. What else? Oh, if I have like, it's a little bit more, I'm a little bit more self-conscious of if I get like a skin blemish or whatever, you know, like if I get like a little zit that pops up or a bug bite, right? Like a mosquito gets me or something like that. Stuff like that, or just natural imperfections in my face. Like I got this little thing here, this like little pimple or mole or whatever on my nose, right? I got that there. I didn't have braces when I was a kid, as you can see, right? Stuff like that. It makes me a little bit self-conscious, but I'm not too worried about it, right? It's not too big of a worry for me. I feel like in some ways, I don't know, the style of dress and the outfit, I feel like makes up for it. You know, I feel like as a complete package and deal, I feel like it's like, oh, okay, well, he's still putting in effort. He's still making a good effort and all that, right? You know, I forgive you a little bit for these grave sins, right? But it definitely, you know, on some days, on the rare occasional day, I get inside my head, I'm like, you know, it's me. Despite everything, it's me. Right, but that, I don't know, that kind of comes with the territory. And like I said, I very rarely ever get that these days, right? Yeah. What else is there? What else is there? Oh goodness. Oh, when it comes to, this is something of a disadvantage. Maybe it's less an advantage or disadvantage and more a quirk. But whenever I go to either clip for a short or do like a longer form clip for like something from the playthrough that I thought was particularly funny or poignant, which I got a whole bunch of those lined up right now. I just haven't figured out when I want to like pop them out and all that. I still have to like edit descriptions and all that for them. But regardless, whenever I do that, it's a little bit more complex because I also need to, you know, if it's a short, do like format in the face cam, you know, which is a little bit difficult in the vertical short form format. Essentially, I realized that I need to apply some of my ideation to this same problem, wherein I look at like what other people do and I just copy it. right. I've decided like, okay, I'm just going to take a look at what they do and I'm just going to try and like whole cloth copy it. That way you'll notice whenever I finally get off my ass and post these, you'll see I do sort of like top half is the face cam, bottom half is the video game, right? That's just me, like, you know, I saw somebody else with a good idea and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, and I did it. What else is there? Yeah, of course, doing like openings, cold opens for something like Oblivion Remastered and eventually Elder Scrolls 6 and Morrowind Mondays Volume 3. That is a bit more of a challenge to squeeze things into the time, right? Because what I would historically have done during the original Oblivion playthrough or Skyrim or Morrowind Mondays 1 and 2 is I had like a hard, fast rule of, man, I really wanted the cold open to be a minute or less, right? But it feels wrong for me to like cut it up too much. And I know this is probably just like a pet personal peeve situation where it's just like my own problem that I have of my own design. Like it's probably not that big of a deal, but I don't like the idea of like, you know, there's a funny bit in here, but there needs to be, to do the joke properly, to have the joke that went on in the video itself that I co-op for the cold open. There's a bit of a lead up, right? There's some build up to the humor or whatever. It's not always just going to be like something very sudden and fast or whatever that I think is funny. There's a bit of a build up, and sometimes I sort of like I grit my teeth a bit, thinking like, oh, I'm spending way too long doing this. You know, the cold open is losing its punch because it's not edited, because I'm not cutting out this extra part or whatever where I waffle on about like, oh, I just got this loot or whatever. It's relevant to the joke. In those others, if I ever did something like that to an egregious degree, I would just simply chop the audio around and make the joke work, right? I would just like get to the point of the joke rather than like futzing around saying like, oh yeah, I need to eat and drink because I'm in Skyrim survival mode, right? I would just cut that part out and just have the joke, assuming the cold open went on too long or whatever, right? Oftentimes they were still short, but it's another point of contention, another point of slight anxiety. But I do think that's me. I just need to get over it, right? I think it just doesn't matter as much as I think it does. What can you do? What can you do? But that's one of the issues that I personally have, right? Where just internally I have that. Oh goodness, what else is there? I mentioned like equipment. There's a desire to like get a better camera and all of that, to like upgrade my camera to like a more professional one, because I just kind of use like I don't even remember what's called, that Logitech C93 something or other, which for a long time was the go-to, and frankly I think it works just fine for the sake of like picture in picture. Like if I'm playing a game and I have like a camera, a face cam situation somewhere on like the left side of the screen, I think it's totally fine for that. But in this case, I feel like the fidelity is a little bit lower, you know, when it's blown up all the way and like I'm just talking directly into the camera. I feel like it's not as good. But at the same time, you know, this is always the case. The video fidelity is negotiable. What is non-negotiable is sort of the fidelity of the voiceover, of the talking into the mic and all of that. If either it's just poor quality or like illegible, just like you can't hear it, it's too low or too high, peaking too much, you got like a bad compressor on it, that's a no-go no matter how you cut it, right? But yeah, that's something else that's always on my mind. It's sort of like, oh, maybe I should upgrade the camera or whatever, you know, maybe I should do that. But upgrading to those cameras, they are very expensive. Those are some very expensive cameras. Those are some $1,000 plus cameras, baby. Whew. Something though to think about long term, right? But like I said, I feel like it's not entirely necessary. And I know there's plenty of people who like have exponentially more, I don't know what you would say, like popularity doing this, who use like a similar or even a worse camera, because like I said, it's negotiable, right? What is non-negotiable is the audio, or folks who still just use no camera, which in some way I have to say, this is another point of, of it. This is something of an advantage, and this is a sick and twisted part of me. But in some ways, I feel like, how do I say this without sounding completely psychotic? But in some ways, I feel like, I don't know what you would say. Like, I'm putting myself out there a bit more than those who still maintain like the veil of secrecy, which I think some people, in some cases, you know, I think there's like social anxiety and stuff, right? You have various anxieties like body dysmorphia or whatever. Like I just said here in this video that sometimes I get some, right? I think that's totally fine and reasonable. But when I love to think about it, when I love to think like, man, I'm just mogging this fool, is if there's some sort of weird a-hole dork online and they got like the right wing sort of cringy avatar profile pic or whatever, or somebody's, you know, if they're like politically my enemy, I do feel a bit of an air of superiority over having my own visage on display, and they don't. Right? It's a little deranged, admittedly. It's a little deranged, but I feel like to be in this business, it does help to be somewhat deranged. And that is a bit of my derangement right there on full display. Is I feel like I do have, like, you know, oh, nice. You're an asshole. Oh, but what's your little avatar? Oh, it's a little guy with that. You know what? I shouldn't describe them in real life, right? I shouldn't describe them, right? But you know what I mean. You know, you know what I mean. Man, this one's gonna get me. What else is there? Oh, here's something funny. Here, we'll close this one out on a funny one. The last one I can think of. It's somewhat endearing and somewhat funny. But ever since I started using facecam and all of this, I think I was actually talking about this to my my dear partner Kim not too long ago. But I brought up to her that I noticed that ever since I started using a facecam, I get not a ton, but I used to never get these. I'm pretty sure. Or they were super, super once in a blue moon. But now since I have facecam, people will say that this sounds so wild. I will occasionally get a comment that refers to me either as like a sort of like paternal or fatherly figure in a number of ways, either in, and this is far more common, in a more endearing and wholesome way. But sometimes there is also the occasional comment that gets a few likes where someone says it in a bit of a horny way, right? And it's got to be said, I never used to get those when I used to not. And in both cases, right, whether it be the more endearing, wholesome kind or the more wild, horny way, both are incredibly I take them both as very heartfelt compliments, and they do wonders for the ego. Maybe actually they do too many wonders and it's actually detrimental, right? It actually it does too much for the ego, right? But regardless, I never used to get that beforehand. And I do appreciate it a lot, but that's probably the weirdest and funniest thing about having incorporated the face cam. I don't know if I can think of anything. Oh, here's another weird and funny one. If I have to, like, I'm self-conscious about, like, in the middle of a playthrough. I'm trying to get over it, though. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes, you know, if I'm listening to an NPC talk, I'm like, oh, I'll take a drink. Take a drink of water, because, I don't know, it used to be I could sneak a drink of water, or if I had to, like, scratch my eye or something like that, or, like, blow my nose, or if I feel like I got some treasure in there, pick my nose or something, grab, like, of course, use a tissue, of course. I feel like I need to wait or whatever, right? I need to wait. Or in particular, if I'm sick and I have a runny nose, I feel like appearing on camera is dangerous, you know, or just being sick in general, appearing on camera is a little bit more intense than it used to be, wherein I didn't have to do that. It was, I could tank it. And that may also be combined with like doing longer video lengths, but sometimes when I get sick, I'll just be like, yeah, we're just doing shorter videos while I'm sick. I may have to skip a day here or there. But it does take a little bit more out of me. Because, and nobody ever is saying that I have to, but sometimes I feel like I want to do like a little bit of a stupid performance for the camera. Right? Sometimes I do feel the sense that, like, you know, if something funny is happening, I want to look at the camera and say something. I want to do something like that. Speaking of which, it does also help out if I'm doing my stupid monologues. You know what I'm talking about? If you've watched this channel for a long time, you know exactly what I mean. Wherein I'm so bad at multitasking. I just start like walking around in a circle, like sporadically tapping the spacebar, jumping on things, going back and forth, jumping across a landscape as I'm just talking. At least now I have the saving grace of I can look into the camera while I'm doing it every so often, and that feels a little bit more au naturel, right? Than me just suddenly like, okay, I gotta talk about this. I've been stun locked. 90% of my attention is devoted to talking about whatever this is, you know? It's a problem that I have, and I'm probably always going to be bad at it, but at the very least, I do feel like the face cam slightly alleviates the issue, right? Slightly. Man, there was more I could talk about this than I thought. I didn't think I would have that much to say on this, but true enough, here we are. That'll do it for this, right? We got some advantages, disadvantages, some more serious ones, some more jokey ones in there. Man. Jeez, I didn't think that this would be so... Well, what do you know? That was a pretty good question. All right. At least for, you know, it's very inside baseball. It's very inside baseball. I always wonder when it comes to these more like inside baseball ones where it's like, oh, this is about the production of the channel and how I like make things. I always figure like, true, there's definitely some people interested in this, but it's significantly less so, you know? It comes with the territory, but it's fun to answer nonetheless. And also, crucially, useful to answer in the event that someone else asks me in the future. I can just refer them to this video. Anyway, that'll do it for this one. Until next time, please take care of each other.